I'm Fearless Fred, comic book creator, radio personality, and dungeon master extraordinaire. On my podcast, Issue Zero, we'll explore all the things that used to get you beat up in school, from Conan the Barbarian to Wonder Woman. We'll look at the history and future of the fandom universe. So join me as we journey through galaxies far, far away. Issue Zero is available for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can also find us and listen on demand at curiouscast.ca.
Welcome back to the program. Half of all marriages end in divorce. How many times have you heard that? How many times have you actually been to a wedding and somebody turns to you and go 50-50? 50-50 shot here. That stat is actually incorrect. The most recent, or one of the more recent estimates, back in 2008, was about 4 in 10 marriages in Canada will break up within 30 years. However, what is on the rise is the number of divorces for older Canadians, what is known as gray divorce. It's a term that references a divorce between couples, usually from the baby boomer generation, hello boomer, who have been married a significant number of years, 30, 40, maybe 50 years. And gray divorces have particular challenges. To talk more about that, I am joined by Laura Paris, who is an associate lawyer at Shulman Partners. Hi, Laura. How you feeling?
Hi, I'm well. And yourself?
You sure you're okay? You're not...
I'm sorry?
Are you sweating at all? Are you running a fever?
You know what? I am feeling a little bit under the weather, but
Are you at home?
Nothing too bad. I am at home today.
Please don't come into work.
I will not.
All right. Well, I hope you get better, Laura. But what's your advice for those of us who may be of a certain vintage, you've been married for a long time, and then think to yourself, no, I want to go and see the world on my own?
So when it comes to these gray divorces, it does present some unique challenges that we don't see in divorces of younger couples. What that comes down to is that typically when you are getting divorced in these gray divorces, you're already in retirement where you've stopped working and you're no longer earning an income, and therefore the family unit is not generating new wealth anymore and kind of living off of the resources that they built throughout the relationship. So when we're dealing with these gray divorces, there's 3 main things that we find adds a certain level of complexity. One is, as I said, retirement. Usually when you have planned for retirement during the relationship, you've planned it in a manner that you are taking care of one household, that you want to make sure that you have enough resources that are going to, carry you through to be able to maintain this one household. So maybe your focus has been to, make sure you don't have a mortgage so that expense is alleviated and, the income that you're receiving, any sort of retirement income you're receiving, is going really just to kind of maintain a lifestyle. The second thing that adds a layer of complexity to this is life insurance policies. If you are in and this is common in the baby boomer generation, where there was one spouse who stayed home to take care of the children, sacrificed their career, and usually in doing so, their retirement savings isn't as great as their spouses would be. Usually the reason for that is sometimes the spouse who's working has an employee pension, or they just have a greater share of money to put into some sort of retirement vehicle. That said, when it comes down to retirement, when you look at what income is being received by the family unit, usually there's a greater share that's being received from the individual who was working during the relationship opposed to the one who wasn't. In that circumstance, when you're separating, you're going to be looking for support. Life insurance becomes relevant in these gray divorces because there's also the reasonable likelihood that your spouse may predecease you. And if you are counting on support from them, until your last day, you want to make sure that there's some sort of security in place that if they do predecease you, you are able to still get that support. And these are circumstances where we do recommend that life insurance policies are put in place in order to ensure that support is secured.
This is some dark stuff, Laura. This is dark.
It sure there is. I mean, it's something that you don't think about. A lot of people don't plan for divorce. They plan when they're looking towards retirement. Again, they're just hoping, like, okay, are we going to be able to kind of just maintain this lifestyle, right? It's only one house that we have to keep. Usually you hope. I mean, I think things are changing now. I don't know for the younger generation that they're going to be able to be mortgage-free when they're retiring. But the baby boomers, I think a good portion of them are mortgage-free in retirement. So, that's something definitely that you need to think about.
What about the adult kids? Because they're going to get in there with their elbows up going, hey, no, wait, that's mine.
Absolutely. So that's the third layer of complexity that we add to this, and definitely adult children do take a greater interest in their parents' divorce when it is a great divorce, and the reason being is that is the way that this money is being divided will ultimately have an impact on any sort of inheritance that they receive, and in those circumstances, of course, the adult children start to take an interest with, well, how are you allocating these resources? How much money are you spending on lawyers? Things like that. What are you doing with our inheritance? And are you protecting it? And are you making the right decisions? So, usually when we're only dealing with, mom and dad or husband and wife or whatever the case may be, now when you're dealing with these great divorces, you start to kind of get the peanut gallery from the adult children chiming in and giving their opinions on how things need to be divided and et cetera.
All right, Laura, let me paint a picture for you. Let's just pretend there's a guy named Bob. He's driving on the 401 right now. He's 63 years old. He's been married for 25, almost 30 years. It's driving him crazy. What he really wants to do is go and live in Ireland and be a peat farmer. And he wants to do that on his own. What's your advice to him? Just suck it up, man, to forget about it? You're going to screw up your life or what?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I mean, it is difficult. It is a difficult decision to make. I mean, I think that there definitely is, as much as finances are important, there's also a price on mental health and being in a situation where you're happy. And I think a lot of people, when they are reaching the age of retirement and are entering into retirement, this is the time for you to, kind of enjoy the fruits of your labor and enjoy life. You don't want to be spending that time with someone who makes you miserable. So the first suggestion that I would give to Bob is go talk to a lawyer. Understand what your exposure is. Once you have a greater understanding of that, then perhaps the next step is to speak to a financial advisor. Are these dreams in Ireland achievable if you are getting divorced? Those are probably the two main things that I would say. At that point, I mean, it depends on how Bob was with his finances throughout his life, and if he made smart financial choices and is in a situation that he can, rebuild wealth if he continues to make smart financial choices moving forward, then it could be that Bob could still live this dream. Obviously, in some circumstances, the money isn't there, and it may be more worthwhile to possibly consider something like marriage counseling and see if they can find a way to make it work. But that said, I mean, it depends on every individual situation.
Laura Paris is an associate lawyer at Shulman Partners with some advice for an imaginary peat farmer. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.